This is like a professional wrestling bit. Are you familiar with the term kayfabe? Do you know what that means? You ever heard of kayfabe before, either one of you?
I do not.
So you're not professional wrestling guys. Kayfabe is when you're presenting yourself as a character. When you're presenting yourself as The Rock instead of Dwayne Johnson.
Hulk Hogan rather than
Terry Bollea, right? Which one of them had the there was a bit about which one of them had the giant penis when they were in court.
I guess Hulk Hogan.
This actually came up in court, where like in court they had to say, well, Hulk Hogan has a Terry Bollea doesn't. Like it was a thing that happened.
This was like a huge case in my journalism law class.
Yeah. I mean, look, Hulk Hogan's a piece of crap, but like he definitely got screwed. Like it's a real shame that because you forget all of the good that came along with Deadspin. Like the original Deadspin had a lot of good. It also had this like there are no rules. This is the internet thought process that led to them posting the Aaron Andrews video, which was my God, no one should ever be allowed to work again after making that decision. Like, legitimately probably should be in jail for sharing that video. Hulk Hogan, as much of a piece of crap as he is, did not sign up for having his sex tape shared out on these things are violations. That's the way that it works. So it's a shame because there was a lot of good from the old Deadspin, but unfortunately they didn't understand, like, hey, there are rules. Like, humanity still has to exist in this process. All that being said, kayfabe is what's presented when you are the wrestler and not the person. So if I used to do interviews with pro wrestlers all the time, right? Like, sometimes they will walk in and out of kayfabe during the course of an interview, right? Like, you'll be interviewing John Cena, but you can't figure out if you're interviewing the man John Cena because his name is the same. It's not like Hulk Hogan was a different name. John Cena is just John Cena. Am I interviewing you or I'm interviewing the pro wrestler John Cena? It can be difficult sometimes. I'm going to step out of kayfabe for a second, but then I'm going to go back into kayfabe afterwards.
Wait, you've been doing kayfabe?
Only related to the Homer hose. I'm going to do shtick about the Homer hose moving forward. You will not get me to call it the dong bong. And here's the reason.
The funnel?
Because I understand why it is that Kyle Gibson answered the question the way that he did last night. I made a joke. Our friend Luke Jones, who works for a radio station that doesn't exist anymore, Luke tweeted out Kyle Gibson's quote.
Very good quote.
It's a great quote. It's a perfect quote because he's in kayfabe, and that's what I appreciate about it. It becomes an outstanding quote. If you missed it, Kyle Gibson, after the game last night, said, we want to make sure that it's rebranded a little bit. It's a Homer hose, not a dong bong. It's a Homer hose. Just like as a kid, you go out back, you take a drink from the water hose after you play outside playing wiffle ball. It was pointed out that they're just big supporters of hydration, the Baltimore Orioles. Now, that kayfabe I appreciate because I joked, I retweeted and said, hi, at Pulitzer Prizes, I'd like you to bring your attention to the very important work my friend Luke is doing. It's very important work. He's getting to the bottom of this. But my point is that I get what they don't want this taken away from them. And the Orioles as a franchise have to make a decision because there are a ton of, and it was all over social media last night, there are a ton of a certain type of people who are like, I don't really want my kids seeing that. I don't really want my kids going back and asking me, hey, what are the Orioles doing, and learning about beer bonging because of it. I don't really want that. I can't believe I ever used to bong a beer. I would bong like 2 at a time.
Damn.
How did I
Glenn.
live?
Yeah, Glenn.
All the dumb stuff where you like rub your nose and you like spin it around like that. Like somehow that's a thing. But you convince yourself it's scientific. Like if I get the oil off my nose, it'll...
I mean, there's a lot of things like when it comes to beer and that age where it's like,
it's
I assume when you get older, it's just like, why did I stick
stupid.
my keys through the can?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Made a lot of sense.
A lot of stupid involved.
Bigger hole.
So I get, even if we're not just trying to point them out as all being a-holes, I can understand why a parent, I'm not quite as concerned about it with an 8-year-old, right? Like I'm not really there yet, but a 12-year-old, someone who's right on that cusp, I could understand as a parent why it is that you'd say, I don't really want my kid to be seeing his favorite, his role models be bonging beers in the dugout during a game. And I get that's not actually what they're doing, but you understand the point. I get it. I still would say, hey, man, you can do the parenting. You can step in and say, this is something that adults do. There are plenty of other things that are on TV or, streaming services that, probably aren't great examples for your kids, and you have to do some parenting sometimes. You have to step in and say, that do the thing that I screwed up and didn't do when my kids said, hey, Siri, show me pictures of cute skinny girls in their bras and underwear. I needed to do some parenting, and I was just laughing instead and forgot, oh, crap, I got a parent here. We all got to do some parenting from time to time. So that would be my response. But I get it. I get that the Orioles would probably say to their players, get ahead of this. Do me a favor. We're never referring to it as a bong. We're not referring to it as the dong bong. Now, they know that people on Twitter are going to do that. They understand it. And it's fun. I get it. I like it. I'm on board with it. But in a way, we all kind of have to be willing to go in kayfabe on this one. Because if we're not, then at some point, someone within the organization might be required to say, dude, we got to stop this. I get it. I know it's not. I know you don't mean any harm by it. I know you're having fun, and we like your camaraderie, and we like that you guys are celebrating. But, we are a major professional franchise. We are a billion-dollar industry, and we don't want to be the industry that's promoting bonging beers to children. That's not something we want to do. I think it's already going to be difficult for the Orioles in considering, last year it was easy to go sell home run chains, right? Are they going to sell?
They better.
I think that's a tough
Yeah,
call
I
for
know.
them. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's a difficult decision for them to make, which is why I'm begging all of us to be in on the kayfabe of it. We all know, I say this all the time, just be in on the joke. It's so much cooler that way. It's so much more fun when you're in on the joke. When everybody else is like, dude, why won't you call it a dong bong? What are you talking about, dong bong? It's a hot. We know what it is. It's a hydration hose. That's what it is. What are you talking about? When you're in on the joke, it's so much more fun. So I know this all sounds really silly, but I'm saying if you like it, stop saying dong bong on the internet. Stop it. Because that's a great way to lose it. I'm doing jokes on the internet about mom and dad. Dude, my mom and dad might be seeing this, right? But we remember that. You had to hide your bong at home. We remember you guys were only that age a couple of years ago. Of course, Charles would never. He's a high-level athlete. Griffin was a national champion, but he's retired.
Performance.
He's retired from
Only
that.
thing on
so.
my mind.
Actually, when you competed in dodgeball, did they require you to bong beers beforehand?
That was actually
It was before.
that's exactly how it works.
That was how the competition started. Was everybody comes out to the center of the court, bongs their beer, and then they get going. But I'm threading very silly with this is. I've gotten a lot of compliments about the Lamar meter bit, and I've said for anybody that would listen, and my friends the junkies down in D.C. have really put it over, and I appreciate them because they are effing legends. But they taught me about how a good radio bit works. Take something very silly and make it very serious. That's how the bit works. The bit falls apart when everybody just laughs about it, that's dumb. Ha, 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 Fat Albert, that type of thing. And the bit works when you commit to it. Do we actually have anything that can prove there's a 95% chance that Lamar Jackson is going to be the Ravens' Week 1 starting quarterback?
Yes.
No.
You, every morning.
Yes. But we do it. That's the bit. We're in on it, right? And we're asking you guys to be in on it. And you guys I've appreciated the fact that you've had as much fun with it as we've had with it. And we're going to keep going with it. And as I said earlier, I got some ideas. But the point is, with the hydration hose, you need to be in on that too. If you're an Orioles fan, you need to understand why it is that the Orioles are doing kayfabe with this. Because they know that the more the words dong bong are out there, the more likely it is for someone upstairs to walk down and say, guys, we can't. We can't. Love ya. No, you don't mean any harm. No, it's fun. But we're getting in trouble. But the more the rest of us are willing to put it over as a hydration hose, the more they can sell their silly kayfabe response. And the more they can create a world in which that's what this is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's what we're doing here. Nobody's talking about bongs. This isn't about... The more we're willing to be in on it. So I don't want to have to write a 1,000-word think piece about this because, my God, what a silly topic to write 1,000 words about. But I'm telling you, as someone who likes being in on good bits, be in on this bit or it's going to disappear. These are difficult decisions for corporations to make, man. Like, it's easy to say, well, just go with it. Who cares what people's opinions are? They do. They have to. You know why it is that corporations put out, word salad responses to things that mean nothing? But also ironic that I'm watching Succession, and they do this all the time. Like, put out a statement that doesn't say anything. In pro wrestling last week, when the WWE was sold to the UFC, they had Triple H go out on television twice last week and say nothing. Announce that he's making a big statement from Triple H to start SmackDown this week. Hey, guys, changes in the air, but that's exciting. Everything's exciting. Yay, us. Says nothing. But it's their way of saying, well, we addressed it. We addressed the change in ownership. We sent Triple H out there. He addressed it. He most certainly didn't. In no way did he. But they would argue that he did. Corporations have to do those types of things because they have to play to the whims of, in some cases, the idiots, in some cases, the well-meaning. The Orioles don't want to have to take away everybody's fun. But if you're not willing to play along with it, if you're not willing to be in on the bit, it leads it to being more likely that they're going to have to take away everybody's fun. Do you guys get that? Do you guys understand? Like, am I?
Yes. Yeah.
No, they can't say it. They can't publicly say it, but I know they want to say, this is a young team. This is what young people do.
Yes.
This is how we're going to attract young viewers.
Right. But you can't. That's not the only people that are watching baseball.
Yeah, that's why they can't say
You
it.
have to appreciate. So here's the thing. You get to have the dong bong. Like, you can do that as long as you can kind of be cool about it. And I mean that. Be cool about it. When you're hanging out with your friends, laugh about the dong bong. When you talk about it on Twitter, be in on the joke. Be in on it. It's a hydration hose. What are you guys talking about?
The only thing this made me think of is, how much bigger of a fuss would this be and, the optics of it if it were in another league with another team.
What do you mean?
NBA, NFL.
Yeah, I don't think the NBA would ever allow. I don't think
someone scores a touchdown.
Well, the NFL doesn't allow props.
Got their
so
hydration pose.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to have props.
They go on the sideline.
No, you're never allowed to have props in the NFL. Oh, you're saying it well after the play?
Yeah, as they're kicking the
he
extra
goes
point,
back
they're
to the
doing
sideline
this,
as an
and-
extra point.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it, but it's not. It doesn't have the same meaning. as
turnover chain kind of feel.
Right, I know what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
It wouldn't have the same oomph as doing it right after you score. But could you do it? Maybe. I think that they would. I think those, and it's totally possible that Major League Baseball will be the one that steps in and says,
Yeah, it does. Now hearing you talk about
Like-
it now, it feels inevitable that
yes.
this is not going to survive.
But the only chance it has of surviving is if we eliminate the words dong bong from our vocabulary. And I mean that. That's the only chance that you have of keeping this thing around, is if you can help them put over hydration hose. We get it. We know what it is. We all understand. Be cool. Be in on it. Know what it is. Help them out by saying hydration hose on Twitter. I'm not trying to be your dad. This is one of those things that we'll let you have your fun if you can do it in the way that we're asking you to do it. It's that thing where, like, the cool teacher tries to come to you and say, hey, I get that you guys like doing this. And I know that when I pitch my idea, you're going to say, oh, if it can't be the thing that we were doing originally, then we don't want to do it at all. But I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to make it plausible for you to have this after-school activity that you want to have. I just can't have it be that you guys are going into a room and watching pornography. You know, like, you got to work with me here. You got to come meet me a little bit in the middle.
You had a porn club?
No, but I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, the University of Maryland was going to show like a full-on porn in like their theater, and
How did
that goof Andy Harris tried to shut it down because he believes in free speech when he believes in it, right? Like, he's a big free speech guy when it matters, when it's the speech he likes. He tried to shut it down, and it was like, hey, look, you guys aren't going to win this one. There's not going to be overwhelming support for let's make sure that they can show porn at the University of Maryland. So can you kind of work with us a little bit? Can you help us help you? We get it. It's a violation of free speech. So we're not going to tell you can't do it, but we also are going to tell you you're not going to have a lot of support. So can you work with us a little bit? Can you maybe figure out different ways of going about doing it? Hey, we're going to also have a lecture afterwards about the porn industry and about, can you do something that helps make it more palatable for everybody? Can you please work with us? Because even if they're wrong, we can't make them go away. So we're asking you to help us. And I believe I don't remember how years, I remember this story vividly because the only time in my life that I've ever really gone after a politician, because I mean, that guy. But that's what they did, essentially. They agreed to have like before they showed it, they had like a speaker come in and talk about whatever, and then they went from there. And then they did it, and everybody moved along with their business, and everything was fine afterwards. And it worked out for all parties involved. But you had to work with us. You got it. We want you to be able to do the thing that you want to do, but you got to work with us. I understand you don't think it's cool now that the adults are in the room. Like, now you don't want to do it. But please, let us help you.
I will say about the hydration hose thing, it does help that the adults, or per se the Orioles, introduced it, because I can't believe that a college football team hasn't used this as like their turbo chain.
Well, I also kudos.
And then that would be the end.
Kudos to Kyle. Clearly, there was a conversation had before the game last night, whether it was with the PR department, an executive, or somebody within the team just being super smart and saying to the guys, dude, do not say dong bong. Do not. Don't say it. Somebody got into their ear so that Kyle Gibson knew to say, bong, wait. It's a hydration hose. That's what it is. And he's in kayfabe. He knows what you know.
It's even smart, the funnel that they used. It's like,
it doesn't look exactly like a bong. No, like it's a little bit longer, right?
It's a tiny little funnel.
Yep, 100%. Like, they took steps in order to be able to create a scenario where the hydration hose can exist. Now work with them. Do your favorite players a favor. Stop saying it. You guys know I love Eric Arditi. He's one of my favorite people. And I was having fun with him this morning. But he also, because he's sort of that rah-rah guy, he's got that Barstool audience, he has a big audience. And I want to grab him and say, dude, stop. Help them. They want this thing. Do it with them. We know. We all know what it is. Now work with them. All right? Do them a favor so that this thing can stick around.
It's going to make it that much sweeter because if this inevitably gets taken away, I say if inevitably, I guess that's double negative there. But when they,
right. No, it's more like an oxymoron. Yeah. If inevitably. If it's inevitable, it can't be an if. Yeah.
But when it gets taken away, it's gonna make it so much sweeter when they make the playoffs and they actually do an actual, in
the celebration, right?
In the celebration 100%. In the locker room, that's gonna be great.
All right, now I'm moving back out of kayfabe. So I love the Homer hose. I was all in. I love the Homer. I think I called it hydration hose. I love the Homer hose. The Homer hose is awesome. Let's stay hydrated. It's going to get warm around here in these next couple of weeks. Let's all stay hydrated. Let's make sure we're thinking about that. We got to drink from the hose. That's what we got to do. Let's go with the Homer hose. Awesome. All in. Homer hose is super cool.